Hello and welcome to the Sharp 600, brought to you by Covers.com and presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. I'm your host, Jason Logan, along with top-tier betting analyst Todd Furman. And this is the Week 6 edition of the podcast. Week 6 puts us one-third of the way through the schedule, and it only took that long for the axe to fall on the first head coach, and that was the Jets saying so long to Robert Saleh, firing their head coach last week ahead of a big Monday night matchup with Buffalo. Todd, we actually saw the betting markets react positively toward the Jets. We saw some threes come down to 2.5. We saw the juice on Buffalo slim up a little bit. Is this a good or a bad thing for Gang Green?
You figure you get a little bit of a dead cat bounce potentially for the Jets. Now, I'm not sure why Mr. Hackett was able to keep his employment as well, but I guess when you're handpicked by a veteran starting quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, it all makes sense. And you had to imagine a change was coming for the Jets offense. We all saw the graphics circulating throughout social media that last year through the first 5 weeks, 93 points offensively. This year through the first 5 weeks with a change of quarterback, 93 points. Now, do I think the head coach was the only problem with that organization? Absolutely not. But the Jets are looking for a spark for a team that a lot of people thought could win 10 games and run away with the AFC East. Fortunately for them, Jason, it's not like the Buffalo Bills are exactly playing great football, and everybody in that division going through an identity crisis right now.
Yeah, big time. That division is still very much up for grabs if someone can get right and go on a run. And a tough hit for us last week. It's been a slow October. We went just 2-4 last week.
Jason, hold on. I'm not going to let you fall on the bullets for me, and you don't have to do that. It's me that's dragging the team down. I got to be better with my overall performance, and I need a little bit of that late game variance. A fourth down stop from the Steelers would be nice, and the Cincinnati Bengals protecting not one but two 10-point leads. So I'm not going to let you take the hit for me. I'll own it, the good, the bad, and what has been ugly over the last 2 weeks.
And it was close calls because you had Cincinnati, that game goes to overtime. You had Pittsburgh, that one goes right down to the wire. For me, Jane Reed had to catch a bomb, caught it on the 2-yard line, couldn't just get an extra push and get into the end zone. But as Al Pacino infamously said in Any Given Sunday, it's a game of inches, right? And when we add up all the inches at the end of the year, I think we're going to be in the black. Before we do start the clock, though, a quick reminder to rate and review the Sharp 600 on whatever program you use us to listen to the podcast. And if you take us all in and with all the glory on YouTube, you can subscribe and like as well, too. All right, Todd, let's go. 600 seconds for NFL Week 6. All right, Todd, we've had 5 weeks of football. We've made some good bets. Lord knows we've made some bad bets along the way. Before we get into Week 6, let's reflect a little bit. Let's do a little therapy here. What was one bet or future or assumption that you made in those first 5 weeks heading into the season that you regret?
We'll go more macro here for me than I will on the micro level. And one is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win total under 8.5. This was a team I thought was poised to regress. When you looked at the change as far as offensive philosophy, I didn't think Baker Mayfield to pick up right where he left off. Mm-hmm. And look, they've dealt with a rash of injuries on the defensive side of the ball, but it hasn't slowed down the Bucs. You now look at the situation they're in this weekend, getting the Saints with a backup quarterback. I don't love having the Bucs under 8.5 wins in that portfolio.
I was going to say, I put too much faith in the Philadelphia Eagles, specifically their offense to start the year. I thought Kellen Moore was going to be the guy to really kickstart them. And we've seen it from time to time, but it's far from consistent. And you can say injuries and whatever. But the one thing that sticks out to me, they're 21st in red zone touchdown percentage. And this is a team over the last few years that's been 60 plus, like basically a guaranteed TD when they get in there, but they're just not scoring at that same clip. Of course, they're coming off the bye, getting the wide receivers healthy, getting Lane Johnson healthy. Maybe there's, can turn it around, but I feel like I put a little too much stock in the Eagles, specifically their offense. It's not all gloom and doom though. Let's pat ourselves on the back. What's one bet, future, assumption, whatever it is that you were spot on with in the first 5 weeks?
I don't want to give myself too much credit because things can obviously flip a script pretty quickly, but I was down on the 49ers overall with their full body of work. Going under 12.5 wins was one of the bigger win total positions I took before the year. Now, I didn't have it on my bingo card that they would blow multiple double-digit leads against divisional foes in the fourth quarter, but something just feels off in San Francisco. And while the offense has taken a little while to get its footing, I am starting to worry about some of the defensive injuries that are mounting, most notably to Talanoa Hufanga on the back end. I just feel like this 49ers team is vulnerable, and they haven't even gone through the most difficult portion of their schedule or that level of congestion we'll see late in the year.
Super fugly second half against the Cardinals. Gift wrap that win. For me, I'm going to pat on my back and say, you know what? I was actually high on Sam Darnold. Maybe the only person that was high on Sam Darnold coming in. And I've been beating the Darnold drum since he had a fantastic second half for Carolina in 2022. He gets to serve as backup in San Francisco, learns a little bit from that Shanahan system. And then when McCarthy got injured at the start of the year, I was like, that's not a bad thing. Now there's no pressure to kind of get the rookie in, and they can just hand it to Darnold. Did I think he was going to be MVP caliber, Sam Darnold? No, of course not. Do I think the Vikings can sustain this level of play right now? Possibly. I mean, they've got to bye this week. Then they play at home against Detroit. And then some very winnable games. Like you've got the Rams, you've got the Colts, Jacksonville, Tennessee, Chicago, Arizona, all winnable games. That takes them all the way to week 13. So, maybe I should have bought a Sam Darnold jersey this year. But yeah, I was high on Sam Darnold. We like to play our little games here. And a fun little sleepover game is Would You Rather? And I'm going to give you 2 prospective wagers. And you tell me which one you would rather place a bet on right now. So, Todd, would you rather take Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson to lead the league in receiving yards? Both guys right now priced at plus 275 in this market.
I would rather take Jamar Chase. And the reason I say that, Jason, is because I think when you look at Cincinnati defensively, there's a lot to be desired from that particular stop unit. And I think from top to bottom, they're going to be involved in a lot more shootouts than the Minnesota Vikings, who can lean into their ground game, a defense that's overachieved under Brian Flores. And when I look at the Bengals sitting at 1-4, I think negative game scripts work in your favor here when you're looking at 2 receivers with a top-tier pedigree. I'd rather have Jamar Chase to lead the league in receiving yards over Justin Jefferson.
Okay, that makes sense. Would you rather take the LA Chargers to make the playoffs, that's plus 130, or would you take the Jets to make the playoffs, which is plus 110?
Oh, this is tough. I'm going to say I'd rather take the Jets to make the playoffs because I do think they figure out offensively, at least in one way, shape, or form. And defensively, while that D-line has left a lot to be desired, I do think that secondary and the linebacking group will get healthier. So I'll begrudgingly take the Jets to make the playoffs. I just think that Chargers roster has too many holes that they need to fill.
Sure. Last one here. Would you rather take the Atlanta Falcons to go over 9.5 wins or the Green Bay Packers to go over 9.5 wins?
You know, this one is tough because when I look at the Falcons, I think they're figuring things out on the offensive side. But defensively, I'm not sure they're going to be able to check a lot of those boxes with so many key veterans out there. Meanwhile, for the Packers, top to bottom, one of the toughest divisions in the league right now, especially as the Bears trend up. But I'll take the Falcons over 9.5. I think this was a team that we were high on coming into the year, and I still have some questions about the rest of the division. So asking the Falcons to get to a 10-win ceiling seems realistic. Falcons over 9.5.
That's right. No, and prime time is not an issue for Kirk Cousins anymore.
No, not anymore.
Apparently. All right, Thursday night football, we get this NFC West war. We got San Francisco at Seattle. Seattle getting 3.5, total around 49. What do you like in this game? Any analysis, any bets that you would place on this one?
You know, we've seen some over money come into the market. Total opened as low as 46.5. 49ers a little bit banged up in the back end. Mentioned Noah Fonga going to miss a month with a wrist injury. Tariq Woolen, a long shot to play. I don't expect him to be out there for the Seahawks. Haven't seen an official designation. And this Seahawks team playing their 3rd game in 11 days. I think we're talking about a track meet. Both of these offenses should have paths to success. But the thing that concerns me is I don't like going over a total that's a little bit beat up. I do think one player, though, that can factor prominently would be Zach Charbonnet, more as a receiver than as a runner. I think looking to take him over 14.5 receiving yards makes a world of sense.
Yeah, and the Giants went up and down on this team last week. Should have had more points if not for that goal line fumble too, right? Like they just walked up and down on the Seahawks. It's a primetime game, so I'm going to go to George Kittle. Over 4.5 receptions. This one's as high as plus 120 out there. Kittle's coming off a busy day. In week 5, he had 12 targets, caught 8 balls. He's had 4 or more receptions in 4 of his appearances this year, and he faces a Seattle team that is giving up the 9th most receptions to tight ends right now. What's more, too, he feasted on this Mike Macdonald defense last year. San Francisco played the Ravens. He had 7 catches on 10 passes his way, 126 yards. So he knows where to find his space here. And player projections for him right now, all north of 4 receptions. And quite a few of those flirting with 5, so I like that plus 120. As I said, he always comes up big in these primetime games. And, of course, for those that subscribe to this age-old handicapping tactic, it's his birthday today. So happy birthday to the mayor of tight end town. You know what that means. You know he's going to have a big game. So I like George Kittle over 4.5 receptions, plus 120 on Thursday Night Football. Touchdown anytime props at FanDuel Sportsbook. Todd, who do you like to find the end zone in this week?
I mean, look, sometimes you got to live dangerously and think outside the box in this particular market. So I'm going to go to New England's quarterback in Drake May. Not to throw a touchdown, but to use his legs behind that makeshift offensive line against the Houston Texans. May, in his debut, I expect his athleticism to be on full display. But most importantly, this is a price that I can get behind. Price in that 4.5 to 5 to 1 range. We saw a little bit of his mobility while he was under center at North Carolina, and I think he can do it again here in the NFL.
All right, we got what could be a high-scoring Beltway Bowl here between Washington and the Ravens. And I like Rashad Bateman to find the end zone again. He's around like plus 200, plus 230 range right now. As I said, game script sets up for a shootout against a bad Washington defense. He had a season-high 8 targets in Week 5. He caught 4 of those, including a touchdown. He's had 2 touchdowns already this year, getting as many red zone targets as Zay Flowers. I like him here to find the end zone again, plus 230-ish. It's 2-minute drill time, and that means our best bets for Week 6. I'll get it going here. I'm going to take Green Bay, -5 versus Arizona. Arizona ripe for that letdown after the big upset over San Francisco, which was just gift wrapped to them. If you look at that second half for the Niners, INT, turnover on downs, fumble, INT. Arizona shouldn't have won that game, and this spread should not be this short right now. They now have to travel a 1 p.m. kickoff in Wisconsin where the weather could be yucky. I like what I'm seeing from the Packers. They're getting going. I like them here, -5 at home against Arizona.
You know, for me, I'm going to go to a team that has been the bane of my existence and make a case for the Tennessee Titans as short home underdogs. Will Levis potentially back under center. I mean, Jason, what could possibly go wrong? But here's a Titans team who's had a chance to heal up during a bye week. You look at what this team has done defensively, and I think that's flown a little bit under the radar given their offensive struggles. But Will Levis or Mason Rudolph may not have to do a whole heck of a lot. They should be able to run the football with Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears against this Colts soft run defense. I was a little bit surprised to see Indy as a short road favorite. I'll take the home dog in this one.
Yeah, Colts offensive line looking a little dinged up there too. I like Detroit -3 at Dallas. I don't get this spread at all, really. The Cowboys barely got by Pittsburgh on a Sunday night matchup, which essentially became a Monday night football game because it went on for so long. Now you face this Lions team at home that's coming off the bye week and just dangerous on both sides of the ball. A ton of weapons on offense that can expose a Cowboys defense that is not great, missing a lot of pieces. And then offensively, Dallas just doesn't bring a lot to the table either. So I like Detroit -3 there at Dallas.
Yeah, a little bit of revenge, too, from a game that got away from the Lions last year with an officiating fiasco, to say the least. I'm going to go to Sunday Night Football between the Bengals and Giants, and I'm going to go under the total in the high 40s. When I look at these two teams, I think this is a game where Cincinnati's defense steps down in class against the Giants' offense that's a little bit more limited, even if Malik Neighbors and Devin Singletary are full goes. The Giants have also been an under team that field goal block turning into a late touchdown notwithstanding. They want to run the football, shorten the game. Under Sunday Night Football for me.
Ooh, I went over. That was one of my first bets of the week. I went over on that one, 47.5. We saw it jump up.
Honestly, the way I'm running, you're probably in good shape, and you might want to double down on that.
Really, a lot of it depends on Neighbors. We got to see what if Neighbors is back in action. I mean, they were able to play with him last week, but they need that young rookie out there. All right, that was The Horn. That was 600 seconds, and that is it for the Week 6 episode of the Sharp 600. A big thanks to Todd, to Dell, to FanDuel Sportsbook, and, of course, a big thank you to you. Again, if you like what we're doing, rate and review the podcast, like and subscribe on YouTube. Do all those things if you got all that love in your heart. We appreciate that. Any parting words of wisdom here in Week 6, Todd?
You know, not what I would call the most attractive overall slate of games, but I think a lot of unique, interesting prove-it type spots. Let's see how the Houston Texans handle life without Nico Collins going on the road against the Patriots team. They'll look a little bit different. We'll see if the Steelers can bounce back flying across the country. And I think when you dig into what the Spencer Rattler / Jake Haener experience will look like, you know, have the books move the number enough for a backup quarterback? Since we all think Derek Carr is one of a kind in one way, shape, or form, let's see exactly how the backup situation plays out between the Saints and Bucs.
All right, good info. We want to send a lot of good vibes to anyone listening in the Florida area as well, too. Please stay safe. And happy Thanksgiving to all my fellow Canadians. Todd, your turkey is in the mail. We'll get that down to you as soon as possible. But
I hear it's tough to ship stuffing. I hear it's tough to ship stuffing and cranberry sauce and have it arrive in pristine conditions.
It's the border. The border guys get into it, right? That's what happens. But we will be back next Wednesday for Week 7. Until then, best of luck with your bets. Hey, NFL fans, you can make every moment more this season with a big return on FanDuel. America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Never waste a hunch at FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 plus and present in select states or 18 plus and present in D.C. First online real money wager, only $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets will expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.